Hi Rose, today I have another ghost story to tell you. Would you like to hear it?
Hi France, must be listening. Can you tell me?
Alright. So let's go find a seat.
Okay.
The incident goes back to 30 years ago. Poo lived in the On Nut area. Poo's house will be in an alley, adjacent to the alley of the temple. The houses in the alley are wooden houses. There are about 5 to 6 houses, and each house is divided into rental houses. Poo was born and raised here. When she was about 8 to 9 years old, there was a house where people moved in. The person who came to rent had a son named Pae. Pae is considered the leader of the gang. Pae Li must travel by water. He would row a boat from home to Ban Swan. That he went to take care of come up to the pier at the temple, which he dared to tie the boat to the temple because he knew that no one dared to steal his ship. This temple is famous for its fierce ghost. Then he would walk from the waterfront to go to work at the ice factory in front of Soy on Nut every day. When he rowed the boat, he will have to stop by to drop a shrimp hook, drop off at points along the pier. But there will only be one in front of the grandmother's shrine, with the temple port that he did not dare to drop the hook. One, because of fear. Second, because it is a temple area. It's a sanctuary area. And if there is a temple work, he can take the shrimp that fall, come to put in a pipe and boil, and sold at the temple. Poo and a friend are going to eat. Mostly if they are children. He will give you free food. But Pae would like to invite him to steal his shrimp. When the children see him pulling up a lot of shrimp, was excited to have a hungry tank, he would come and see the children's mothers, causing all the children to hit each other. There was one day that Pae Li disappeared. Poo wondered where he had disappeared. No one came to tell, and did not see his face at all. Who used to wait to eat shrimp we didn't eat? It's been almost 2 weeks. He came to sit at the kanji shop, in front of the entrance to the temple, where Chinese people like to sit and drink coffee together. He told me that. One day he dropped the shrimp. Then he will go to collect it later. That day, the ice factory had a lot of work. He went back to collect shrimp at almost 8 o'clock. While he was rowing to chase away it, there was a loud noise like something had fallen into the water. He thought it was a coconut. He rowed further into the water. That he dropped the fishing rod. I heard something falling into the water again. This time he became paranoid. It's like when something is going to happen. There will be no wind blowing. Uncomfortable atmosphere, suffocating. He felt that. He thought that things had gone wrong. He thinks he'll pick up 2 more. Then he'll go home. The rest was let go. The last one is about to be stored. He pulled the girl's rope up. The first hook had no prongs on it. The second one had no prongs attached. But it's very heavy. Like it's stuck on something. He kept trying to pull it up. When it comes to the last one. At first, I saw a thread on his hook. He thought of the toddy palms that he had already ripped. It is round and has many hairs. He pulled up in anger. He was determined to retrieve and collect the hook. As soon as he caught him, he heard a loud cry. He startled and cried, "Or it will break." Enough for him to pull up again. A cry was heard again. When he tells the story, he said he was starting to panic, so decided to throw all the fishing rods into the water. He said he was going to throw a hook. At that moment, the orb turned. It's a man page. It's right in his hand. The ball isn't big. But he said he saw it as a person's face. Then the mouth gradually smiled. Smile until it's like it's torn up above. Then he passed out. I woke up again in the morning. He slept on the boat. Then the ship floated in the middle. He said he had a fever. Someone came to help haul his boat back, because he didn't have the strength to row a boat. When he gets better. He said that he had been missing for 2 weeks, because he did not dare to go out of the house. He didn't dare row the boat. Because leaving his house that is a garden, that he went to take care of, most will have to go on a boat. And came across the coast. He didn't dare. He was very scared, afraid that something like that would happen again. Until one day Monk went to see him. As if there was going to be a job. The Reverend Monk will let him go to help with work. When he told the monk to listen, the Reverend Monk asked me to pour holy water. So he followed Reverend Monk. After a few more weeks, Pae invited Pipu again. Because you've seen that. Pae Li brought shrimp to sell again. It means that he will surely have to fish shrimp again. Pae then invited Pipu to go. This day, Pae invited Pipu at 6 p.m. It was dusk. In the past, it was 6 p.m. It would get dark faster than today. But Pipu agreed. Pipu is not afraid of anything anymore. Because Pipu has been living in that area since birth. Then let's go. Pipu will walk with another friend named Dao. As for Pae, there will be another younger version of him. They pulled up the prawns at the port. He then handed it to Pipu. Then he told them to take each other home first. Hurry home because it's already dark. Got hit by Mom. Pipu said that he would share a portion. Let's go to Pae's house. While walking, there was no wind blowing at all. But the coconut ball rolled towards Pipu. It rolled from the side of the grove. Pipu took her friend's hand and looked at it. Was about to continue walking, heard the sound of someone coughing. Pipu stood stiff, her legs couldn't move. At that moment, she was so scared that she wanted to run at full speed. But her legs refused to run. Stand calm for a while. Then turned to look at her friend's face and nodded. When she was about to run, she heard a loud shout. A friend of Pipu poured over there. But we didn't think it was a ghost. The reason she pees is because of Pooh's friend. Ever been beaten, so he said, Pae Li, I don't want it anymore. Let me just put it here. Pipu and her friends held hands and walked back home. Leave all the prawns in there. When Pipu returned home around 9 p.m., Pae's father and mother, they couldn't find Pae. They asked where we were going in the evening. Pipu did not dare to tell because she was afraid that her mother would hit him. Later, I saw them looking for each other a long time ago. So he said that Pae took us to get Pae Li shrimp. It's now at the pier. Pae's father also went. Appears that from the waterfront pavilion. Walk to the waterfront pavilion. It's a bit far. Because in the past, the waterfront will not be like today. It will be rotten wood. It's 4 pillars. The seat is a single piece of wood. They have to go down and walk along the bridge again. So we'll go down to the waterfront. Went to meet Pae sleeping at the waterfront pavilion. With his younger brother. He took him home. Upon returning home. Wake up. He had a tremor. Then his hair was falling out almost completely. And refused to tell anything to listen to. He would sit down and look down around the house and tremble. And said no more? No more. He'll say just one word. Until another day in the morning. Symptoms began to improve slightly. So he had to find an adult and another person to talk to. To summon Quan. But Pae still hasn't told him about it. Until the gang of children came to watch. Pae waved his hand and called us in. We went to sit and he asked? Yesterday while walking back. Did you meet anything? Pae replied that he met Pae Li, shouting and calling. Return the shrimp and leave it there. And then come back home together. Pae then told me about it. He said that after Pipu returned home. About an hour already. He said he started pulling shrimp. When he pulled it up, there was one. That has a feeling of being heavy. He tried to pull up. The rhythm is pulling up. He moved and stood up from the squatting position. Hear the sound of Pae Li standing on the pavilion. At that time there was no light. You will see the light from behind, that is an orange light bulb. Seeing Pae Li's shadow standing on the waterfront pavilion. Then he shouted, "You have come to steal my shrimp again." Pikau's hand was still holding a rope that was a shrimp hook. "And Pae Li told me to throw it down right now." But Pikau, as he was a stubborn child, he argued back that whoever can take it must be his. But he was yelling at him to leave. He walked slowly down the bridge. At that moment, Pikau seemed to turn to look, because the hook he was holding was swinging. It swayed in circles in the water. So he pulled up in a stern fashion. "Think it's a fish." But the rhythm surged up. What floated up was the head of a person the size of a ball. The younger people sang and ran up to Pae Li's garden. Stand at the upper pier at the pavilion. But the elder Pikau told him that he stood trembling. He stood and stared at the head of the person he saw. At that moment, it was as if he froze his entire body. His consciousness had slipped away. But his eyes stared back. After a while, the tongue exchanged. The mouth was enlarged. Its tongue sticking out like it was sticking in his direction. Realizing it again, Pae Li came and snatched the rope from his hand, and then thrown out into the middle of the water. Pikau then ran up to stand at the pier. When standing at the pier, holding hands with Gnome, turn around again. Pae Li is no longer there. Wasn't there for a moment. Just snatched the hook from his hand and threw it away. Because it was as though he had clenched a fist. Because he can't let go. My heart tells me to let go of my hand. But his hand was still firmly gripping the hook. Until the poppy came to snatch it and throw it away. But when coming up to the waterfront, which is from the pier down to the bridge, it is the only path. It's impossible for Pae Li to go anywhere. There's no boat going down, it's water. There are none on the bridge. Turn around and run home. Pae Li stood in front of the pavilion. Pikau passed out. We were skeptical about it. Pae Li must not be here, of course. Otherwise, how could he help Pikau? We couldn't talk for a while, the ant who sold bananas. He came to ask who went to pull the shrimp yesterday, and was tricked by ghosts at the pier when he entered the house. He said, "Next time, don't go to the bathhouse again. It will be like Pae Li." We asked what Pae Li was. He said Pae Li didn't know what happened to him. But by morning his corpse had a hook around his neck. Then floated to the pier. The line wrapped around his neck was his own line. A small hook that hooks shrimp. Usually, it's not possible to hook into every flesh of his neck. Embroidered in the flesh around the neck. But Pipu doesn't see it. But Pikau can't see the shrimp at all. He didn't take any more. Stop eating shrimp altogether. He and his younger brother. Be the last person to see the spirit of Pae Li. In the morning, her aunt came and said, Pae Li came to lie dead slowly at the pier. So it makes those two people disappear completely naughty. At that time, we didn't know Pae Li was dead. She doesn't know when he died. Because it's normal. Sometimes he disappears for 2 to 3 days. Then his boat meets another way. Almost 4 to 5 kilometers from where the body was found. The oars are still in the boat. But the weird thing is on the edge of the boat. Like a handprint. It's green like human sap. Where it clings to something and starts to change color like a person climbing a boat. Or people might grab the boat and rock it. One day when she went to make merit after about 3 weeks, Pipu went into the event and walked to the pier. Pipu thinks that she's going to eat a cup of snacks. When he arrived at Pipu, he saw Pae Li's bucket overturned beside the pier. Pipu went back because she remembered. It's Pae Li's bucket. No one picked it up, and it was still upside down. No one knows that you are dead. It's not natural for you to die. If he falls into the water, faint, drown. Then floated slowly. It might just look normal to an old person. But the important thing is that it has a fishing line to catch shrimp. Wrapped around the neck, and it's not wrapped around a single round. That is, the whole line was all around his neck. Then the line for fishing shrimp is not short. Can be wrapped around a person's neck about 3 times. At the temple where Pipu is, there is a shrine of Maya that people respect. Then the person who is a medium. He said, really? He had already warned Pae Li once to make Pae Li stop doing that. But Pae Li did not stop. Still thinking about coming back to do it again. This time it was fatal.
When Ki Kao saw that, it's as if Pae Li will come to help. Because if he doesn't come to pull the hook out, Ki Kao might have been pulled into the water. Thanks for the ghost story. The scary thing about Thailand is to listen to it. If next time we meet, we have to tell you about it again.
Okay. Bye.